Hey guys, WildHeart here, and today we'll discuss patch 14.12, all the new buffs, all the new nerfs, and system changes. Let's get started. I don't really want to discuss the new Ari skin drama, because it's whatsoever. Aatrox. Aatrox got his healing, not healing, the regeneration reduced, actually halved. But armor growth has been increased. What does it mean? That he cannot really stay on lane as long as he used to stay, but he is probably going to be slightly stronger in terms of fighting someone who does physical damage. Makes sense. Healing on E is decreased as well. It is decreased because Aatrox doesn't really build any bonus health. He only builds like damage items now, so yeah, so it's like straight up a nerf. They added a bonus health scaling, but it's whatsoever, at least for now, as long as a bruiser Aatrox is not a thing. I mean, a bruiser built Aatrox, clearly. Healing is no longer increased during World Ender as well. That's unfortunate. I mean, as Aatrox, you're probably kinda used to getting extra Empiric, extra healing out of nowhere, and having these numbers nerfed that much. Wait, but increased healing is kinda compensating for everything. Level 125. That's more than a double at every level, like double level 6. Plus 40% level 11, and level 16 plus 55%, holy shit. Yeah, I mean, it makes sense if you want to buff his ulti that much, it makes sense to nerf the other sources of his potential healing. It totally makes sense. So it kinda brutally forces anyone who lanes against Aatrox to build healing reduction against him, because after level 6 he will be just healing out of everything, if that makes sense. Yeah, that's probably an issue. Akali's E damage decreased. Let's see how much it was decreased. AD scaling, AD scaling is increased. Flat numbers are decreased by 30 level 1. Level 2 or 4. Actually, it's quite a solid nerf. Minus 100 damage. Minus 100 damage at level 9 of spell. You don't max E, so scalings are kind of more important, but it scales of AD doesn't really... Yeah, I mean, AP scaling is reduced. I don't really get what's the idea, like... Does Riot want to make Akali like an AD champion, or what's the plan? The first hit of Akali's Shuriken Flip deals 30% of the ability's total damage, and the second hit deals the remaining 70%. That's clear. That's clear. Action passive damage decreased. E damage decreased. Honestly, that's something I personally expected a lot, because Akshan was just too strong after AD items were adjusted, and I expected Akshan to get a heavy hit. Let's see how heavy was the hit though. I mean, the early game is stronger, but the scaling is weaker. The scaling is weaker. I mean, in mid game you probably won't notice any difference. Late game you probably will notice a slight difference, but not a lot. His E, Heroic Swing. AD scaling is reduced by 2.5%. Flat numbers are reduced by 10 each level. I mean, it's damage per shot. So 10. So reducing 10 damage, considering the fact that you can hit the guy maybe like 5-6 times during your swing. So it's like minus 70 damage each swing. That can be a serious thing, actually. Not since they didn't only reduce the flat damage, they also reduced the scaling. It's a serious nerf to Akshan, I feel like. And that's something that Akshan mains must feel a lot, that's for sure. Ash, passive damage decreased. I mean, Ash was quite strong indeed, but I'm not really sure if her passive is what you wanna nerf. Probably that makes sense considering the fact that Riot recently buffed crit items and they want to crit her crit part of the gameplay, so it kinda makes sense to me, but at the same time I don't feel like that's exactly what she wants to have nerfed. Probably nerfing her W cooldown would make little more sense. Probably. Or slightly reducing the area W can AoE. Blitzcrank. Base health reduced to 600. Passive mana barrier duration is increased. Honestly, that's such a silly nerf. It feels like Riot just don't know what to do with Blitzcrank at this point. Because I get the idea that Blitzcrank is strong. I would never say that Blitzcrank is a big pick because, you know, it's a very simple champion with huge impact to the game if you play it right. Therefore, the champion kinda needs the nerf, but I don't think nerfing his passive, nerfing his base health is exactly what he needs. I would say nerfing his hook cooldown and E cooldown would be the most appropriate thing to do. Or slightly nerfing his movement speed would be better idea. Because nerfing his base health and at the same time compensating this with the duration of mana barrier makes completely no sense to me. Because this mana barrier buff, it doesn't really reimburse the base health nerf for early game. It doesn't really change anything. It does change a lot for mid and late game when you have quite some mana with Blitzcrank. Yeah, that indeed helps. But during early game, the most important stage of the game when Blitzcrank has to play proactively, I personally feel like that's not the nerf we want to see. I would actually say that's a very dumb nerf to be done. That's why I initially said that it feels like Riot, they don't have an idea what they want to do with Blitzcrank. Like, yeah, we want to nerf him, but we don't really have an idea how we want to nerf him. And honestly, there are so many things how you can nerf Blitzcrank. As I said, slight cooldown increase on Q, on his E, base AD reduction, AD growth reduction, so he doesn't hit that much with his E. Slight movement speed nerf anything. Like, there are so many ways how you can nerf it, but you're picking the worst path. Corki. Base AD reduced by 3, attack speed growth increased by 5, by 0.5. I mean, Corki was kinda broken last patch. Actually, not even strong, just broken, straight up broken. And as far as I remember, I told during the patch notes that Corki is going to be broken when we did the last rundown. As far as I remember, I told that he's going to be broken, and that's kinda obvious. But wait a second, they keep buffing him? Alright, flat damage is buffed on Q. It's a minimal buff, so it's kinda whatever, but it's a spell he normally maxes. In the recent AD build, as far as I remember, there have been some Corki players who've been maxing E as well. So that could be a case as well. But they added plus 30% on AP scaling, so an AP Corki is not completely dead, as it was the last patch. At this point, you can kind of try to play hybrid Corki. However, there are no good hybrid items now. And I think if it there are no good hybrid items now unless you play something that entirely relies on attack speed rather than AP and AD stats. Cooldown on Q's reduced as well. What's the point? I don't get it. Like, -1 second. E. So they nerf E. At least something they nerf. They didn't touch any scaling. They only nerfed the flat numbers. That's bullshit. Riot Games are very dumb at nerfing champions. They don't understand what they need to do, it seems. Armor, MR, Shred Cup. That's not bad. That's not bad. That's a good way to nerf it. Mana cost slightly increased. I mean, mana costs are whatsoever at this point, unless you're nerfing everything in terms of mana cost, because you don't really rely on mana anymore. Because earlier, what was Corki? Corki was a poke machine with his rockets, and when he was poking target to low HP enough to go in, he was going in. Now he just strictly goes in, one shots the target, and that's it. So he doesn't really rely on mana that much as he was relying earlier, and I don't feel like this nerf does like literally anything. It wouldn't affect even the slightest. Well, maybe like like 0.001% win rate, maybe, yeah, but nothing serious. Ezreal. AD growth increased, Q damage increased, R damage increased, so strictly buffed at everything. And that makes sense, because Ezreal was dogshit, like seriously, after AD items were nerfed, Ezreal was fucking dogshit, like so bad. So bad, it was impossible to win the game with Ezreal if your Ezreal is not a god of Ezreal alive, and if enemy ADC is a human being, because any crit ADC would normally outdamage Ezreal by far. That's a problem. AD scaling actually plus 10% AD scaling on his Q. That's massive. That's nuts. That's actually a lot. Plus 10% on such an important spell for Ezreal. That's a lot. True Shot Barrage. Plus 25, plus 50, plus 75. I mean, ulti is whatever. Honestly, ulti is whatever. Mystic Shot buff is fucking strong. Combined with attack damage growth on base stats, that's a lot. That's a lot. At the same time, I cannot be sure that it will be enough, because, Ezreal cannot build Essence Reaper anymore, because he doesn't need it anymore, because, Triforce looks like the only option for him now. As a core, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe I didn't explore enough options for Ezreal, but when I think of Ezreal, Triforce sounds like the only viable option for him. Karma. Karma is still quite weak, but her strongest role is currently support. We have a lot of room to buff her without mid lane Karma become problematic. We are still being cautious and focusing on her supportive aspects, namely stronger shielding and better bonus movement regardless of who she targets. I mean, that's not a good idea. That's not a fucking good idea. Even without reading the buffs, that's not a good idea, because every single time in League of Legends history, when Karma's shields got buffed, suddenly she became broken. Everyone thought that Karma is unbearable in terms of balance, and everyone was asking Riot to nerf her every single time. So what do we have there? 0.5% movement speed bonus duration. Okay, that's not bad. Shield value is whatever. These numbers are completely irrelevant as long as it doesn't have any AP scaling, because that's only 20 shield. 20 shield. I mean, it will matter a little when you will have some bonus healing and shielding, but if we do a quick math, that will be like plus. When you will have like your healing and shielding bonus maxed, you will have plus 34. Yeah, plus 30. No, I'm dumb. Not plus 30. Plus 10. Plus 10 to plus 15 extra shielding. So it's whatever. It's like literally whatever. You don't even feel this much of a shield. Like, I'm surprised they are buffing Karma and not nerfing Melio. How strong was Melio last patch, and why you're buffing Karma? Absolutely dumb decision. Defiance bonus shield. Plus 30. Plus 30, that's at least something, but still kind of weak. I mean, they don't want to buff your AP scaling because that would make Karma top and Karma mid playable. But what you can do, you can increase the value of healing and shielding power towards a specific spell. So if it would be healing and shielding power is multiplied by 2 for each shield you cast, that would be a serious buff. That would be something notable. This buff, yeah, 0.5 seconds extra movement speed is cool. That's something that everyone will feel. Shield is whatever. If you wanna speak about shields, these like extra 20, extra 30 shields are whatever. That's dog shit of a buff. Master Yi. Alright, bonus damage to monsters decreased. Actually, that's a good idea because last patch, even on high ranks, Master Yi was kinda popular. W, meditate. Initial damage reduction is reduced. Cooldown is increased. Unironically, these nerfs are good. These nerfs are good without completely gutting the champion. These nerfs are like really good. I mean, you got to be fair, you know, sometimes Riot do poor nerfs, sometimes they do good nerfs. Same thing with buffs. Then Fury, Pac-Mate attack damage is increased. Not much. Scaling is increased though by 0.5. That's not bad. That's not bad considering the fact that Fury builds lethality for the most part. Execute Darkened Daggers. VC minions, medium, large monsters. 37s VC minion and not. Wait. VC minions and non-epic monsters. Non-epic monsters. So no extra damage to dragons, barons, heralds, and whatsoever. Heal and bleeding target. Champion only, champion and large epic monsters. Huh. Interesting. Cooldown. Cooldown is slightly reduced early on. So they're aiming to make Nefiri stronger early on. That makes sense because Nefiri isn't any popular. I saw some Nefiris last patch, but they wasn't doing too hot, and I personally believe that wasn't mainly because of the player, but because the stance where current assassins are. Because honestly, starting with Split 2, I haven't seen a single assassin doing something like super good to carry the game, apart of Zed. And I don't feel like that's only because of the difficulty, how difficult it is to pilot assassin well, but because assassin champions are all just got it. In Split 1, Fizz was kinda good, as far as I remember. And Akali was kinda good, but those are only AP assassins. AD assassins were kinda meh. Oh, actually Rengar was doing well quite some time, but he wasn't any broken as well. Nala, House Regeneration, Armor goes. That's a massive buff. That's a massive buff for bot lane. Plus 2 regeneration, like plus 50% regeneration, armor grows increased on bot lane. That's massive. That's very good buff. That's very good buff without making the champion overpowered, because when Nala is getting fat, she's very difficult to deal with because, you know, she's just leading you. You cannot really kite her if your team comp is not perfectly set up for that. So yeah, she just all-ins you with her flash E combo and ultis you, and yeah, you're dead. Rek'Sai, bonus attack speed is reduced by 10%. I'm not sure about that. Unburrow 50, 75, 130, 55, 80. So minus 20. Yeah, minus 20 each level. AP scaling remains the same. What was the idea? Rek'Sai is brawling with the best of them, but currently her damage comes out a bit too fast. So with these changes, we're looking to slow her down by removing some of the upfront damage she has. Not really. Not really. Wait, let me see. What was the intention? For which ranks that was the plan? For all ranks. Nah, not really. Rek'Sai wasn't any broken last patch. What do you guys say? She wasn't any broken. Luckily, they don't really kill her because, you know, W is not her main damage source and attack speed, well, it matters but doesn't matter, like, too much. But I don't really see a reason to nerf her the slightest. Skarner. And that's something I don't really want to see nerfed, because I played Skarner a lot last patch as support. But, yeah, I mean, it makes sense to nerf the champion. Let's see what they nerf though. Base health reduced, health growth increased. +3. +3, so... Nah, you guys must be kidding. Nah, they're not kidding. So at level 13 you will have about the same HP as you would have earlier. At level 13. I think I almost never had a game where I got level 13 with Skarner. Like, seriously, makes no sense to me. Alright. Passive. 7 to 10% based on level of the target's maximum health. 5 to 11. So damage is reduced based on level. So this doesn't really affect Skarner support. It certainly does affect Skarner top lane for the most part. It does quite some effect to Skarner jungle, but to Skarner support, that's the role that has the least influence of the nerf. Base health nerf sucks though, because these 40 HP is something that I noticed that helped me a lot as Skarner. So now I would just die. Talon, Q cast time now scales with attacks. Interesting. Q cast time now scales with attack speed. W rake jungle modifier is reduced. Outgoing damage. What do you even build for Talon to get attack speed apart from Triforce? I wonder. I genuinely want to know what you can build for Talon to have attack speed apart from Triforce. I believe experimental hexblade is not exactly what you wanna build for a Talon, but I only think of these two items that can give you attack speed and can be somewhat suitable for Talon. Like, seriously, what's the point of this buff? Like, it's weird. It's actually weird. Like, I don't get the idea. Trindamer, Q bonus attack damage decreased. I mean, it's only -5, but for Trindamer, considering how weak is Trindamer during his laning phase, that's kinda notable. Spinning Slash is damage is reduced by 5 at each level as well. Bonus. I mean, they kinda nerfed him, but they didn't really murder him. So yeah, for Trindamer mains that have like huge experience with the champion, they will definitely notice that, but it's not something that kills the champion, and that will do. That will do, I believe, with the champion. TF. TF, as far as I remember, got nerfed at every single skill bracket. AD is reduced. Wildcard's AP scaling is reduced as well. Flat damage remains the same. AD scaling remains the same. So it's only -5% scaling to wildcards. Kinda makes no sense. Because honestly, you didn't really see any AP Twisted Fates last patch. I'm pretty sure at higher brackets you only seen AD Twisted Fates, so what's the point nerfing his AP scaling? Just reduce AD scaling from 50 to 45 or 40, and that will do. On top of that, he doesn't really care about wildcards because he was maxing W and E, so wildcards or whatever. Pick a card. Mana cost Actually, that's a big nerf. That's a big nerf to his W early on. Blue card mana restored. So they immediately make up for the nerf. Kinda makes no sense to me. Honestly, 80 damage growth reduction makes sense to me. And that makes sense because this 3.3 80 damage growth is kinda nuts. But the nerf on wild cards, like seriously? AP scaling, seriously? Q2 now works on towers. That's a huge buff. That's a huge buff. I mean, Q on towers is a huge buff to side lane Victor, so you can just lane swap with your bot lane or top lane whatsoever, and just take the towers much faster, especially if you combine it with Lich Bane. That's a lot. Vladimir is getting buffed? No way. Has been relatively weak across the board. Yes, but this champion is supposed to be weak. Like, you don't want to have a strong Vladimir, because whenever Vladimir is strong, he's completely oppressive to deal with. But honestly, the buff is not even that big to complain, so let's see first. Current health cost reduced to 15% from 20. Healing 30% of pre-mitigation damage. Pre-mitigation damage. I mean, that's not even that big of a difference. Bonus health... I mean, it's also W, the last spell to max. Bonus health ratio. Yeah, extra scaling of bonus health, which is cool. They didn't really touch any flat damages, so it doesn't really benefit you from maxing W now. They just made a spell straight up stronger. Straight up stronger, yeah. That's honestly not a bad thing. Yon plus 3 armor. That's a good buff for him for laning phase, that's for sure. Yuumi, E cooldown decreased to 10 seconds at all ranks, so now it's 10 at level 1. And honestly, that's a big buff to Yuumi, because normally you've been maxing Q as far as I remember. Final chapter, heal per hit, plus 10, plus 10, plus 10, yeah, 10, plus 10 healing at each level. That's not bad. That's not bad. You got to be extremely careful when you're trying to balance up champion like Yuumi, because this champion is fucking nuts when she's playable, so you got to be very careful with her. Lord Dominic's regards. Item recipe is changed to Last Whisper Noonquiver. So kind of weird, not gonna lie. Noonquiver changed. We're taking a pretty firm stance on keeping epic item gold efficiency under control, and Noonquiver slipped through the cracks in 14.10, so we're bringing it back in line this patch. Damage reduced to 20. Total cost unchanged. I mean, if you want to build early LDR, that's kinda a dream for ADC. Noonquiver plus Last Whisper, that's like literally a dream. Noonquiver is historically the best item for ADC since it was launched. Whenever you wanna buy it, because it helps you to farm if you're bad at last hitting. And if you can get Lord Dominic's regards earlier because of that, that's a way. That's definitely a way to do that. Slingshot. The item was kinda strong. Nah, it wasn't one of the weakest. The item was kinda strong, I feel like. Dagger plus 600 gold. Ah, so they changed the build pass, so it's not that toxic. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. I mean, champions like Zeri might love it a lot, that's for sure. Static Shiv. It's pretty powerful right now, but we expect it to take some time for players to adopt it into their builds. It's currently looking competitive on Zeri True, Sigurd True, Kai'Sa True, and Kayle. Never seen it on Kayle this patch, so yeah, I've only seen AP Kales. And we will wait and see who else picks it up over time to make this adoption a little easier. We're smoothing out its build pass, as Shiv doesn't need such attacks in build pass. Makes sense. I mean, the build pass is kinda nice. It was kinda nice. Now with pickaxe it wouldn't be that nice, but it's still not bad comparing to some other items. Void stuff is getting buff. Ah, you want Void Staff to compete with Crypt Bloom. It makes sense because Crypt Bloom is just straight up better because Void Staff it doesn't give you that much. Cyrilda. Rancor bonus armor penetration 20%, 25%. Scaling remains the same, so they just added 5%. That's not bad. That's not bad. If you want Cerula to compete with Lord Dominic's regards, that definitely makes sense. Frost Strike. The rune is nerfed. Fuck it. Actually, fuck it, because this rune was very good for supports. I was using it myself for champions like Melia, Sona, but yeah, well, recommended runes. That's whatever. Like, seriously, that's whatever. That's not something we want to care about. Arena. Arena is actually nice. I got Gladiator there, but after Gladiator, you kind of lose motivation to play. Apart from it being a really funny mod. Champion Master. Since we launched the update Champion Master system in patch 14.10, we've been keeping an eye on how it's done with all of you. And while some parts were successful, like uncapping Mastery and the ability to unlock champion titles, it's clear that we missed the mark in other places. We're working on updates based on your feedback, such as revisiting and the new Mastery visuals that are going to take a bit more time, but this is the first of more changes to come. Make sure to check out the dev update that just dropped today for more details. Alright, I think that's all, guys. Actually a very interesting patch, I must say. Reflecting on it, what I noticed, Yumi is very interesting. Definitely worth testing for those who love Yumi. Victor, Q2, very nice. That's something I personally love a lot, honestly. TF, ADTFs can keep playing ADTF, I feel like, because nothing apart from his base stats was touched. So at level 18 you will lose, oh wait, around 16 AD. 16 to 15 AD, so not that much. With Talon, I don't really understand what's the intention of the change with attack speed, so we will figure it soon. Something that I'm really interested about is Nyla. Nyla's health generation and armor growth are massive, so you probably want to test it now if you play ADC. Karma is whatsoever. Ezreal, definitely worth testing. Corki is still broken as he was. Blitzcrank, I personally feel like the champion is still strong. Just got to be more careful with early game all-ins. That's it. Akshan, well, I'm not an Akshan player, but numbers look kind of criminal to Akshan, and you should probably avoid the champion. I could be wrong about this one, but I feel like I must be skeptic about this. Aatrox World Ender feels like a massive buff that you must build healing reduction against. That's it. That's it for today, guys. See you next patch, 14.13. And have a nice day. Bye.